Did everybody see?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yay. Love when a plan comes together. Um, my screen share is paused. So we will start with any announcements. Marcia, do you have anything?
Yeah, a big announcement that next week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we will be hosting the Universalist Convocation. They meet different places around the country, and we were traditionally a Universalist church, and founded in Newberry by the Heffiger family. And anyway, so they're going to come and spend 3 days with us. And it's if you want to register, it's still time. And yeah, they're looking forward to it. We're looking forward to it. They will be doing their a minister with the Universalist Convocation will be doing the service on Sunday. And and let's see. And then we don't meet on the fourth Sunday. We don't meet. So um I don't there might be a fifth Sunday. I believe there's a fifth Sunday in May, and that will be led by Edwina Winter, and we'll be doing a Power of Eight healing circle service. So that's what we're doing in May.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry. I'm going to grab my thing out here real quick because I was unprepared. We are having, yeah, please, if you are interested in coming for the convocation, it is Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and Friday is the welcome. And so if you go to this website and you go to register as a part of CMUU, you actually only have to register for Saturday, but you can still come on Friday. And there's lunch provided and a bunch of really interesting information. A lot of interesting information about the history of Universalism, and because Newberry is actually kind of really a good central hub for that. So from the Dunkard tradition and things like that. So just so you know, as part of CMUU, you can actually register just for Saturday and still come on Friday, just for everybody's information. So I have a really super interesting chalice today. It is a birthday
It's a cake.
that I received. It's pretty chalice-like though, right? It is a cake. I think that's maybe we'll do it in celebration of Mother's Day, but now I need to find it later. So we are not doing the song, but we will light our chalice. She will sit right back here for the service. And so if we want to come together for our unison affirmation, we affirm that love is our greatest purpose. Accepting one another is the truest form of faithful living. The search for truth is our constant star. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to find hope in times of fear, and to live out our Unitarian, Universalist values every day as a beloved community. Thus we do covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life. And why don't we take this time to share any celebrations or concerns? Anyone who would like to join us when if we broadcast this, we will cut this out of the video, just so you're aware. So no, don't do that. Don't do that. We're not there yet, Joelle. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing and hand it over to Carol to proceed to tell us more about different faiths and what we can learn from that. Carol, thank you for being here, and take it away.
Thank you so much. I first want to share, I'll just hold it up on screen, the golden rule in different faiths. And I just wanted to say I have a number of copies of this. I can't see my own screen. Where am I? Um, there we go. So it just has, you can see it's backwards, I guess, but it's a nice artistic little
It's backwards
thing
on
that
yours, but it's right on ours. I can see it right.
okay, good. It has golden rule in 6 different faiths, and you could frame it. And I'm happy to send these out if you would like one. That's why I put my email in the chat. So just write to me on email and I'll send you one if you would like one. It has, for example, Hinduism. This is the sum of duty. Do not unto others which would cause you pain if done to you. Buddhism, hurt not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. So it has, it's very nice. It's an artistically done, thing. Oh, there's somebody else. If anybody notices, I don't know if you see or I just me. If you people trying to get into the room, so I see this because I'm host because I'm going to share this PowerPoint I made for you all. I see them. I don't know if anybody else sees them, but if you happen to see anybody sitting there, let me know because there's a waiting room and I have to click on their name. Hopefully we'll still see it. I'm going to bring up this PowerPoint and there we go. I like to use PowerPoint just because, let's see if I can move us out of the way. I'll make it full screen. You should be able to, there we go. You should be able to possibly make it smaller. I don't know, for yourselves. Um, so how is that for everybody? Is that
Looks great for me, Carol.
okay? So what I'm going to share is this statement that was written by the Universal House of Justice, which is the global, it's an elected body. They're elected every 5 years. 9 people on it, and they manage the affairs of the Baha'i faith at the international level. So they wrote this statement to the world's religious leaders in 2002, which I think is very interesting. And again, I can send you the whole statement as a PDF if you would like it. I'll send you the whole statement. But this will just give the basic points in it, and we did share this statement. The Baha'is of the world shared this statement when it came out. We were asked to share it with our own local, officials and any religious leaders in our own communities. So we did that. So it was through the global network of national Baha'i communities because we are very widespread globally. We're not huge in numbers, but we're widespread globally. So the purpose of this statement was to warn of the dangers of religious fanaticism and prejudice and to advocate for greater interfaith unity. So we're not today so much going to go into the beliefs of the different faiths. We're just going to look at the importance of interfaith working together and giving up some of our beliefs about, we're the only one that has value. So, first of all, in this statement, they talk about the legacy of the 20th century. That there were a lot of efforts actually that were encouraging, despite continuing conflict and violence, which we still see today, maybe even in a more concerning way. But these things darken the horizon, but there have been hopeful signs. So, for example, thinking about the 20th century, the League of Nations came into existence. It wasn't there before. United Nations, and they have issued many statements. A Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948 for eradicating, other statements for eradicating hunger and malnutrition around the world. protections against torture, rights of the child. So, as you know, I'm sure, and you've seen them on TV, and they at least bring together peoples from the nations of the world to consult. Um, so that's a step forward. And in the 20th century, we had the independence of the majority of nations on Earth since World War II. And other collaborative organizations of nations came about, like the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, Central American Common Market. These are just a few. The Organization of African Unity, and then gatherings such as, I don't know if any of you remember the Beijing Women's Conference of 1995. It was really big. It was a really big thing, and on the news all the time. I remember seeing it and hearing about it, and being excited about it. Hillary Clinton happened to speak at this event, and many other um, speakers, and there were 17,000 participants from around the world. So this declaration that they came up with, the Declaration and Platform for Action, was considered the most comprehensive global policy document for gender equality at the time. So that was a big thing. Another big thing was the Earth Summit of 1992 in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, which came together for climate concerns. And, excuse me, the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development, these kind of things came about. I forget if that came out of this conference. I think it's something that came out of this conference. But it produced many foundational agreements like the Rio Declaration, Agenda 21, and the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. So at least it was, representatives from the world coming together to talk about and come up with at least agreements and statements that were non-binding, but at least agreements and statements to go forward with action for climate control. One decision they made was not to carry out any activities on the lands of indigenous peoples that would cause environmental degradation or that would be culturally inappropriate. That's a big thing to, for at least people to come to something like that, leaders of the world, and agree on that, even though that's still a fight for sure. That's still a fight today. Tragically, they say, organized religion, whose very reason for being entails service to the cause of brotherhood and peace, behaves all too frequently as one of the formidable obstacles in the path of unity. To cite a particularly painful fact, it has long lent credibility to fanaticism. So these are all, these things are in quotes because it's in this letter, this statement that I'm talking about. So they said, we say this in the spirit of goodwill, but this is just a reality that religion has actually, unfortunately, stood in the way of unity many times. And I have a quote from Winston Churchill here: "A fanatic is someone who can't change his mind and won't change the subject." They ask us to consider other things that have made advancements. Like they said, consider the advancement of women. In the past, women were regarded as an inferior breed, denied the opportunity to express the potentialities of human spirit, and regarded to the role of serving the needs of men. Today, those such conditions exist in some places. In global discourse, in academia, and in the media, equality of the sexes is a universally accepted principle. It has risen to that, standing. It's become considered an accepted, I guess, principle. At the end of the 20th century, they say here that nationalism seemed to be diminishing and cooperation growing in many ways. I think with some of those, you know, international efforts to come together that we just mentioned, they say that with each passing crisis in world affairs, it becomes easier for the citizen of a country to distinguish between a love of country that enriches one's life and submission to inflammatory rhetoric designed to provoke hatred and fear of others. Um, and we certainly can identify with hearing that kind of rhetoric today. So they felt that maybe, there might be some things going on again where we're taking a backward slide, then we move forward, then we go backward, then we move forward. It's just kind of how it goes. Considering racial and ethnic prejudices, vast numbers of people continue to endure the effects of ingrained prejudices of ethnicity, gender, nation, caste, and class. All the evidence indicates that such injustices will long persist. However, racism is now tainted by association with the horrors of the 20th century to the degree that it has taken on the character of a spiritual disease. So in many forums and news media and administrations, schools, it has become it still exists, but it has become not okay, to have that as part of the system, at least in words. It is not that the dark past has been erased, but that a threshold has been crossed where fundamental principles have been identified, articulated, accorded broad publicity, and progressively incarnated in institutions. So we have, organizations set up to work on discrimination. We have some protections in the workplace, things like that. So those did not exist in the past, and we have at least reached that point. I can say that in sociology and in most of the social sciences, we all have statements that make statements like that race does not really exist, that it's a man-made belief. It's a man-made thing that we've made real, but it's really not real scientifically. There's no way to divide us by race scientifically. So most of us have that in our we have some kind of statement like that on race today. I stuck in here a couple things I call sociology page. This is from sociology. So in the United States, just the United States alone, interracial marriages became legal in 1967. To me, that's like, wow, that's recent history. I was a teenager. But even it didn't become enforced in some states. We have some friends, for example, that got married. Al probably remembers. I don't remember exactly when, but Rhonda and Walt, around the time we got married, a long time ago, early 70s. And they were on their honeymoon and traveling, and they were stopped by the police in some southern state, and I forget if it was Tennessee or Kentucky or something like that. And they were told to leave the state because they were an interracial couple. So that was as recent as the 70s. But today, since 2019, 19% of new marriages are interracial, and over 15% of all children in the US today identify as more than one race. This is a picture from in 1893. We had I can't see it to read it, but we had forget what it was called. anyway, it was a world exposition in Chicago. And they had within that a parliament of the world's religions. This is a picture from that meeting. I don't think I see any women in this picture, but it was a gathering of religions, and it was a really big thing for that to happen. And actually, a side point, it was also the first public mention of the Baha'i faith in America. And I think it was by a Baptist minister. It was not by a Baha'i. Uh, but when that happened, the leader of the Parliament of Religions was said to have, he said that we have emancipated the world from bigotry. That's how important they thought it was. They thought, we've emancipated the world now from bigotry. The religions have come together. From this, many interfaith movements came about and flourished, and interest picked up on different religions on radio, television, eventually film, and the internet. And also, departments, academic degree programs in comparative religions came about. They did not exist, before that. And interfaith worship services became kind of commonplace. They weren't like unheard of occurrences that raised everybody's fears and, upset people. So that was from the Parliament of Religions, 1893. Of course, it's clear that these initiatives lacked both intellectual coherence and spiritual commitment. And the greater pattern of organized religion tends to stand paralyzed at the threshold of the future, gripped in dogmas and claims of privileged access to truth that have been responsible for creating some of the most bitter conflicts, dividing the Earth's inhabitants. The consequences in terms of human well-being have been ruinous. And we have seen that in very recent history. And we see it now, every day on TV, right? So dogma is a point of view put forth as authoritative without adequate grounds. So this is a problem, and they're saying, this has robbed religion of the capacity it inherently possesses to play a decisive role in the shaping of world affairs. So I want to ask you all, what do you think religion does for people, in your opinion? What are some of your thoughts on that? What does religion do for people?
I'll go ahead and jump in here because I was thinking about it as you were saying it. Especially in the capacity of the difference between like religious fanaticism and versus like faith structure, which are kind of different things as far as I'm concerned. What it kind of called back to me on is Brene Brown talked about sort of unmanaged vulnerability, which is extreme vulnerability where you feel as a weakness and you're feeling exposed. And I think that people managing and coping with those feelings tends to happen in certainty, of wanting certainty, of desiring certainty. I know exactly what's coming next. And it takes psychologically takes a pressure off of you to feel very certain about what direction you're going. What's funny is I've often described myself personally as a staunch agnostic. I am a fanatic fence sitter in that I am uncertain, but I'm very certain of my being uncertain. I know it with my whole chest. I can tell you I have no idea. And that there is, for me personally, a psychological relief that comes in accepting that I don't know, in the same way that I think accepting that you do know for certain people gives them something to cling to.
Okay.
I think that, I've also, you talk about what does religion do for people. Interestingly, we're talking about this on Mother's Day, and I had related that uh, one of the hardest things as a parent to come to terms with a deep love, and I talk about parental love, but it can also be any kind of love that you have for people, is the idea of there being a time where you're not with that person anymore, and how hard that is. And how the idea that just you're lingering. I guess that's sort of a fear of oblivion is what it is. It's a fear of not being there anymore. And I think that the possibility of there being another time when you're with a person gives you that. And there, of course, a lot of Judeo-Christian beliefs give that idea that you're going to be with that person again some other day, that there's that being separated from people you love is only temporary. And I think that gives that kind of certainty that I talk to, that alleviates people's kind of central nervous system, which is again related to that unmanaged vulnerability that makes me feel weak to think that I'm not going to be with these people I care about forever. So yeah. that's something I've always thought about.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I just want to see if anybody else has any comments on that. What does it do for you?
Well, with you, it's a lot about covenant, and that is the part about the religion that really is very meaningful to me. It's in a collective that we hold these principles as our bottom line, and we move from that place of respect and dignity for all, and the basic principles, and that we are choosing to do this together. And so it is about belief, but it's not constraining. It's just a strength in that, the community. And so, and like in your beliefs can take whatever path they want about the before life, the afterlife, but it's really about how we treat other people, and how we live this life, how we integrate that faith into our life, and again, as a religion, to know that I'm in covenant with a group of people that are holding this basic bottom line belief of respect and dignity. And so, I mean, that's what makes it very meaningful for me.
Yeah. It gives you that community, sense of belonging. Anybody else have a quick comment? Evelyn, we can't hear you.
So I agree with what Marcia just expressed, which is what drew me to UU in the first place, and the ability to help and do good works for people like water wells in Africa and supporting soup kitchens, and regardless of a person's sexual orientation, race, religion. It is about community, and that's what it does for me. It helps me believe in people again, because there was a time when I really didn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's important. Doing those things for others, I think, lifts us up too.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I guess I'll move on so we can finish this. And you know what? I'm going to do this because I can't see the top of my screen. So another quick sociology page. I just made it a little smaller, but first, so it's interesting that, again, it's just a quick sociology statement, but all the early sociologists studied religion and they were not religious necessarily. So Emil Durkheim, the first professor of sociology, he believed religion acts as the cement of society. He thought it was very important to have that, by providing a shared system of beliefs and rituals that bind individuals together, like you all were just saying, reinforcing social cohesion and providing emotional energy. Max Weber, another very early, very well-known sociologist. He said, I fear wherever riches have increased, the essence of religion has decreased. in the same proportion. So he studied wealth, especially in America. And he thought as wealth increases, religion decreases. So in a way, he saw wealth. Well, anyway, I won't go into the details, but he saw, I guess that was a, negative thing that religion was decreasing. He said, therefore, I do not see how it is possible in the nature of things for any revival of true religion to continue for long. He was so depressed about the future, he went into great, deep depressions. His wife even had to feed him at times. Karl Marx, of course, thought religion is the opiate of the people. It's like a drug. It prevents people from taking immediate action to change their society. So those are just some early sociology views. Back to the statement, they say, excuse me, religion reaches to the roots of motivation. It has awakened in whole populations capacities to love, to forgive, to create, to dare greatly, to overcome prejudice, to sacrifice for the common good, and to discipline the impulses of animal instinct. This is a quote from Baha'u'llah that's also in the statement, Baha'u'llah being the founder of the Baha'i faith, who we regard as also a prophet of God. There can be, does anybody else want to read this? Somebody else read this quote. Instead of you hearing my voice all the time. Anybody want to read it? No?
I can. Sorry. There can be no doubt whatever that the people of the world, of whatever race or religion, derive their inspiration from one heavenly source and are the subjects of one God. The difference should be attributed to the varying requirements of the age in which they were revealed. Cleave unto which draweth you together and unith you.
Uniteth you, yeah.
United
Yeah.
you, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the basic message they are wanting, calling us to, realizing the value and the spirituality under one God from all these religious groups. And so this has implication for religious leaders. And remember, this is who he was addressing this, they were addressing this statement to. For one thing, growing numbers of people are coming to realize that the truth underlying all religions is in essence one. And this recognition arises from a dawning acceptance of the oneness of humanity itself. So he says, it must have the confirmation of those to whom, even at this late hour, masses of the Earth's population look for guidance. So if all these folks here could, recognize that, the oneness of humanity and the oneness of these messages as having the same basic spiritual message, he's saying that's really important and would help the world come together. On the one hand, each of the great faiths can adduce impressive and credible testimony to its efficacy in nurturing moral character. At the same time, faith doctrines have been prolific in generating bigotry and superstition. So this paradox is there. They say that the abiding faith of the unconsulted masses of the Earth's inhabitants. Think how many people are never, in on this consultation, I guess in an international way. The abiding faith of the unconsulted masses of the Earth's inhabitants believe the universe is ruled by a loving and unfailing providence. So if that is true, then we should all be able to recognize that and come together. They also say religion and science go hand in hand. Far from being in conflict with one another, these fundamental modes of the mind's exploration of reality are mutually dependent and have been most productive in those rare but happy periods of history when they have been able to work together. In some cases, these religious leaders can be subject to the lure of worldly power and advantage, which has cultivated a fertile breeding ground for cynicism, corruption, and despair among all those who observe it. So that he's warning them to watch out for that as well. Don't become caught up in a lure for power and corruption. So they end with saying religion has served throughout history as the ultimate authority in giving meaning to life. It has been the chief force behind binding diverse peoples together in ever larger and more complex societies. Baha'is see in the struggle of diverse religions to draw closer together a response to the divine will for a human race entering on its collective maturity. So we are coming towards our maturity, and our maturity will be, expressed in our coming together as a world population. And then they call to interfaith groups. Interfaith discourse, if it is to contribute meaningfully to healing the ills that afflict a desperate humanity, must now address honestly and without further evasion the implications of the overarching truth that called the movement into being, that God is one, and that beyond all diversity of cultural expression and human interpretation, religion is likewise one. With every day that passes, this is still from the statement, danger grows that the rising fires of religious prejudice will ignite a worldwide conflagration, the consequences of which are unthinkable. We should not delude ourselves that appeals for mutual tolerance can alone hope to extinguish animosities that claim to possess divine sanction. So we're called to real unity, recognizing our oneness, not just tolerance. So here's an ending quote from the founder of the faith. They end their statement with this: the well-being of mankind, its peace and security are unattainable unless and until its unity is firmly established. So that is the statement. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Carol. We really appreciate that. So we usually kind of open, if it's okay with you, we open the floor for discussion and thoughts around it. So I would like to open it up to anybody who has thoughts regarding what Carol just shared with us or anything else. Anyone? I will stop again. I'm sorry. I'm going to step in for just 1 second and share that I have a real commitment. I usually refer to it as like the universe speaking because I don't know what it is and I don't know how it is, but I'm sure that other people will call it, divine intervention or something along those lines. But it's when I feel like the universe kind of gives me a wink, a nudge, and a little like, hey, this one's for you to let you know that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And one of them is that, it's funny because one of your slides, you had mentioned the 1992 Earth Conference, environmental conference. So very interestingly enough, I was kind of a little bit of a Unitarian Universalist when I was young, even though I went to Catholic school. And in 8th grade, we at the end of my 8th grade year, we were supposed to do a speech. Like we had to replicate a persuasive speech to our class, and we were supposed to take someone else's speech and write it. And the idea was being persuasive of whatever the speech pillar. And I had actually picked a speech from Severn Suzuki, who was a 12-year-old who spoke at that conference.
Oh,
And in 1992, talking about climate change was not, first of all, we were still calling it global warming in 1992, but speaking about climate change and speaking about like our impact on the earth was not yet, it was rising, but it was not yet a thing. It was, this was, recycling programs were just kind of getting away. And we were just starting to talk about CFCs and things like that. Like, it was just kind of getting underway. And I had picked Severn's speech to give as my speech in 8th grade. So when you mention it, I go, I gave a speech, and I got an A on it, by the way. But I gave the speech that Severn gave. She was a 12-year-old from Toronto who had given this speech that was children speaking to adults about the next generation. And this group of young teens had gotten together the money to attend Rio de Janeiro's Earth Conference to give a speech. Yeah. So it was so when you mentioned that, it was one of those times where I went like, the universe goes wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Noelle, you're exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment and hear this message. So just thank you for that, for your part in that. I appreciate it.
Sure. Those were really big things. They were really, things that had not occurred in that way before, I would say.
Yeah, it was, anyway, it's kind of neat. It was one of those like synchronicity things where I feel tied to this moment from my past in a way that you wouldn't have known. So I appreciate that. Anyone else? No. All righty. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and finish this out, Carol. I already have permission, so I should be good. I'm going to go ahead and come back to my presentation, which is in here somewhere. Here we go.
Somebody's asking, where can they get the recording? What shall we tell them?
So I will, I have it saved to my computer. I will upload it and I will get it onto we'll get it onto the YouTube. That'll probably take me about a day or so. And then if you want me to directly send you the link, if you want to put your email address into the chat, I can directly, if you're not a part of our congregation. And then Marsha, can you send it out in an email if I send it to you tomorrow with a link?
The YouTube.
Yeah.
The YouTube link. Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. I'll take care of that later.
I don't know if everybody on here, if I have your email address, but if Carol would get it and she can send it forward. How about that?
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I'll get it sent.
Thinking, loving, serving.
Terrible. Go forth in peace. I usually would make my husband do that when put on the spot, but he's not here. I'm not a good singer. I know my weaknesses, y'all. So thank you everybody so much. If you hang around for just 1 second, I will get that YouTube link put up in the chat. And then you can kind of check it regularly, but it should be up in the next day or two. So give me 1 second. I will stop sharing and go find that YouTube link for y'all. Thank y'all so much. I hope everyone has a wonderful Mother's Day. Does anyone have any specific Mother's Day plans going on?
If you don't have them already, you can't make them because everything's booked.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else closing comments or thoughts?
Just thank you to everybody.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let me. Here is the link for. Oh, we get on the right screen. Y'all got too many windows open. And then I got to find the right one. Here we go. Chat. Here is the link to our YouTube channel. And so please go give it a look. And then also on a Sunday morning, if you don't have anywhere to be and you're interested in joining us on our first and third Sunday, you can join us either in person or on our YouTube for our live stream services. Come listen to usually Candace. So that's all we have for today. Anybody else need anything? All right. Thoughts to everyone.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful week.
Have a good day.
May go enjoy
Happy
beautiful
Mother's
weather
Day.
if it's outside and whether it's raining or sunny. Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you, Carol.
Thanks, Carol.
Mhm.